So today we will continue our chapter 13, and we have got verses number 3, 4, and 5 lined up. So I will start with verse number 3. Kshetragyam chapi mam vedhi sarvakshetreshu bharata क्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानम् यतज्ञानं मतं ममाहु. So this verse translates to know me. Me here is referring means God. So know me as the knower of the field in all the fields, O Bharat. Knowledge of the field as also of the knower of the field is considered by me to be that knowledge. So that knowledge means the knowledge which is to be known. So I'll just repeat the translation because it is a tricky one. So know me as the knower of the field in all the fields, O Bharat. Knowledge of the field as also of the knower of the field is considered by me to be that knowledge. So let's take this up word by word. Kshetra Jnanam, Kshetragyam or knower. Cha and api also mam me vidhi no sarv kshetreshu. So kshetra is field, sarv is all. So sarv kshetreshu becomes in all fields or in all kshets. Bharat is, he's referring to Arjun, and we will discuss this at some point of time today. So Arjun is being referred to Bharat as a descendant of the Bharat race. Kshetra, kshetragyo. So both the kshetra and the kshetragyo. So of the kshetra field and the kshetragya or the knower of the field. Jnanam knowledge, which which is yat is which, tat is that. Jnanam knowledge, matam my opinion or is considered to be mam by me, right? So know me as the knower of the field in all the fields, O Bharat. Knowledge of the field as also of the knower of the field is considered by me to be that knowledge or the knowledge which we ought to know. So let's chant it together. Kshetragyam chapi mam vedhi सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारतः क्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानम् यतज्ज्ञानं मतं मम. So in the last verse, we discussed that the Kshetragya is the knower of the field, of the kshetra, which is the body, the material layers, the experiencer, or the individual, right? So that is the kshetragya. Now, the layer of the field, we also discussed this to some extent last time, that the knower of the field is witness to the modifications of the material body. See, I mean, if we just think of ourselves, we have seen ourselves grow, right? From the childhood to our youth, to our, middle years, to maybe our, whatever age we are currently are. We have seen our body changing and we are witness to the modifications of the body, and not only the physical body, but also the way our thoughts and emotions have changed as we have move along the timeline. So now here the Lord is saying, Krishna is saying, that knower of the field. or the kshetragya, the one who is aware of the kshetra. So me, who is aware of my field, my kshetra. So know that knower of the field, the experiencer, to be the Lord, to be me, to be God. Or he's saying that the God himself is the knower in all the bodies, right? What is happening is actually the self is functioning in the body, creating the individual. So that is the enabling force in all of us. So when I am the kshetragya of my kshetra, or the individual knower of the field in a particular body, I am also that God. So it is God which is enabling me as the kshetragya to know my kshetra. So the God, that spirit, is enabling me to understand, to be the knower of the field, or to be the aware experiencer of my body. So, you know what, we all become aware of this at some point of time. But because of the impact of perception and emotion and thoughts, the worldly interactions, we lose this connect with the enabling power. And Bhagavad Gita, we've been reading, and you will realize, has been continuously telling us that control your senses from extroverted pursuits and bring them inside. Search inwards. Do a course correction from delusion and ignorance towards that knowledge and bliss. So, at an individual level, my body is the kshetra, the field. So I know my body and I am the kshetragya. I am the experiencer, the knower of the field. As the kshetragya or the knower of the field, I am enabled by that spirit, by that Paramatman. And that Paramatman is not only enabling me, it is enabling all of us. That Paramatman is the ultimate kshetragya, the knower. Now, see, if you just leave aside all the scriptures and everything, and you just think of yourself as an individual, you always felt that you were special. There was something different about you, which is not there, which is not there in other people. And, you think that you're special. And all of us think of ourselves in this manner. So there's nothing wrong there. So now we think of ourselves as special, right? In this verse, the Lord is saying that actually all of you are connected to me. So the oneness principle is reached. That means the same God is enabling in everyone and everybody, all beings actually. Forget the mankind or the humankind. Actually, the entire creation is enabled by him. So at it's such a leveler. It's a level field. We are all the same. This is the oneness principle. Now, okay, so we are all one, but then again, if you think of it individualistically, so if there are, we discussed this last time, that in the kshetra and the kshetragya, these are different experiences, the world being the same. Each of us treat or experience the same happenings of the world differently. Okay. So each of us have different experiences. So when you see, let's say you walk out into your garden and someone else comes into your garden, each one is experiencing the same garden in a different manner. The war that we see, I mean, so we have 3 wars going on, if I'm right. Everyone is looking at it in a different manner. Anything that we do is a different experience for each one of us. Now imagine the countless number of bodies of kshetra, actually, the bodies that exist. And in each of these bodies, there is a kshetragya. And each of those kshetragyas has their own world, as it were. You know, So these are those trillions, countless, infinite worlds that are existing in the Kshetra plus Kshetragya combination, right? At the same time. And the Lord is saying that all these are actually in me. So if you just pause to think, what are we? I mean, look at the magnitude at which we are talking. So not only are the human bodies, we are also considering the other beings, other creatures, plant kingdom, everyone. All that they are experiencing, all that is taking place in the Lord himself, in God. So now that is the oneness principle. Also, what is happening is that that pure consciousness, when it functions in each individual, that pure consciousness is functions as conditioned consciousness. And what is the conditioning? The conditioning is our nature, the vasanas that we have. So that conditions that pure consciousness and makes us appear as as a individual, right? It is the best example to understand this is that the all pervading sunlight falls on various reflecting surfaces. So it could be a mirror, it could be a water body, anything. And then that reflecting surface becomes a reflected image of the sun, right? So the same sun, when you see it in a calm body of water, appears to be calm. If you see it in a body which has ripples, you will find it distorted. So the sun is the same, the reflections are different. So similarly, that pure consciousness, which is functioning, the same consciousness is functioning in all of us. It is the vasanas in us which are causing the ripples, the distortions in the uh, in viewing of that pure consciousness. The Lord is saying that the pure consciousness, when it functions in everybody, He is the knower in all of us, in every being, in the entire creation. And so the Lord, in from that point of view, the Lord Krishna is saying that He is the God, He is the Paramatman who is present in every being. So He is the basis, the foundation of all of us, in all human beings, if we come to the human race, and irrespective of our caste, creed, race, sex, nationality, and in all animals, reptiles, worms, whales, in all bodies, that same Lord is present as the one vitality, one enabling force. And that Lord is functioning in all of us as a witness, just as at the individual level, when we are aware of the body and are actually witnessing what is happening in our body, in the kshetra. So when Krishna is talking like this, he is actually motivating us, the seekers, to recognize the Supreme Self as God. And also, the verse is distinguishing and separating God from our material layers, from the body, and is helping us to identify with the kshetragya, the knower of the body, and the pure consciousness, right? So when I'm talking of the jivatma or the individual kshetragya, it's the vasanas which are clouding or which are distorting the pure consciousness. And so that is what has to be removed. So that is the layer that has to go. So what is happening is that all of us are actually a kshetra, a field, plus the knower of the field, the kshetragya. So the problem is we take it as one entity. So, but we need to really understand that what is the body or the kshetra and what is the kshetragya, what is the knower of the body or the knower of the field. And we need to discriminate, distinguish, and that is the name of the chapter actually, the yoga of distinction between the knower, between the field and the knower of the field. So we have to separate the two. We have to separate the kshetra, the material body, from the kshetragya, the knower of the field. So in short, we have to peel off our layers, the layers of our personality. Okay, so and move from the body out, the gross body, to the subtle body and to the subtler levels. And ultimately we go reach that Om within us, which is the Paramatman, which is that self. And this is also explained very well in the Kat Upanishad, this how to peel off the layers. So you start with your outer body and keep saying, is that me? And then you say, no, there is something more to me than this. And you go on removing those layers of your personality. So whatever you take out from your, as you peel off your layers, then what remains, which you're not able to peel off, which is not, you're not able to differentiate, distinguish, remove, that is the knowledge of, that is direct knowledge of the Lord, or the knowledge of that which the Lord is mentioning here. So to know this knowledge, to have this knowledge of God, is the highest achievement, the highest knowledge for mankind. And it is the source of greatest strength for all of us, which provides us, makes us fearless and strong. And because what happens? We realize that God is within us, is directly present in me, in you, everyone, in all individuals. So why should I be unhappy and sad? I am that supreme joy and bliss, which I'm seeking to attain. It's only when I move out into the world that I start seeing, getting affected by the pairs of opposites. So this knowledge, which takes me to God, is the knowledge that I need to know. And other knowledges, all knowledges, like the worldly knowledges now, like science, arts, engineering, politics, they are really not knowledges. We tend to call them knowledges, but they are pieces of information which you assemble one way or another way and come to different theories. They are not perfect. They keep changing. Whatever theories you set forth, they change after some time. It is one-sided piece of information. There is no finality in them, and they're subject to changes. So even the research scholars, when they write massive theses, are actually putting together pieces of information in different ways. That's what's happening. No other knowledge other than the knowledge of the self, or which tells us the difference between the kshetra and the kshetragya, will give us supreme joy and blissfulness. This knowledge saves us from imperfection that we humans face because of our conditioned consciousness that is functioning in us. And we also realize the tremendous mystery of our personality and our immense capabilities. And we realize that actually our potential is unfolded. The more we move inwards, the more we realize what all potential we have. So the knowledge of the kshetragya, actually, the knower of the field, transforms humans into a divine being. And we no longer identify with that limited entity. We discover a larger existence. So Krishna says that I consider the direct knowledge, the knowledge of the self, or the one that knows all the knowers of the fields, which arises out of analysis, investigation, and inquiry, leading to discovery of the God. That is the supreme knowledge. And it is only through the process of contemplation and meditation that the seeker can attain that knowledge. So we should, as seekers, think of this splendid declaration of the Lord, that the Lord is the knower of all the knowers of the field, and that is the knowledge of this ultimate knower. That is the knowledge that we ought to know. So with that, let's move on to verse number 4. Tata kshetram yacha yadraksha yadvikari yatasya स च यो यत्प्रभावश्च तत्समासेन मे शृणु. So the verse translates to what that field is, of what nature it is, what are its modifications, whence it is, and also who he is, and what his powers are. Those hear from me in brief. Okay, so this is what the Lord is saying. Let's take this up word by word. Tat is that, Kshetram is field, Yat which, Cha and, Yadrak is what it's like, Cha and, Yadvikari or its modifications, variations. Yat whence, Cha and Yat what, Saha he, Cha and what, Yaha is what, Yat Prabhavaha. What are his powers? The powers of God. Tat, that, Samasen, in brief. May from me, Shrinu is here. So the verse translates to what that field is, of what nature it is, what are its modifications, whence it is, and also who he is, and what are his powers. These hear from me in brief. So let's chant it together. Tata kshetram yacha yadraksha yadvikari yatasya yat sacha yo yadbhavasya samasena me. So now the Lord is already told that you have to differentiate between the kshetra and the kshetragya, right? So next in this verse, Krishna himself is posing certain questions which will help the seeker differentiate, go ahead with this process of differentiation. So he poses the questions and he is going to answer. So basically he is explaining, firstly he is explaining the term kshetra or the material layers, our body, the constituent parts of the kshetra, the field, and all the components that make the field, that constitute the kshetra. What is its nature and how it modifies. As we move, how it, or as we function, how the kshetra modifies or variates. So first, the Lord is giving the seeker a clear idea of what constitutes the world of matter, the world of objects. Because this is tangible, we can see it. It is easier to understand this. After that, the Lord will go on to explain what he is. That means what the Lord is. See, and whenever Lord, Krishna says that I am the God, I have repeatedly said that it does not, what it implies is that he has understood, he's talking to us from the level of the pure consciousness, and he's become one with the God with when he's talking to us, and all the masters do the same things, be it Jesus Christ, be it Lord Buddha, Guru Gobind Singh. When they reach that level, they talk from that level. So that's why Krishna refers to himself as God. Okay. In the, even I think from chapter 7 onwards, he's been referring to himself as God. Okay. So that is the way we should understand this. So Lord Krishna will now also explain what he is or what God is, referring to the kshetragya in the kshetra, in the, as the kshetragya functions in the field. Or he will explain to us the world of spirit as well. So not only will he talk about the world of matter, but he will also talk about the spiritual world. What is the spirit? His functions, his glory, power. That is also what Krishna will talk about, and he offers to briefly explain these to Arjuna. So once again, in the previous verse, we talked about the Kshetragya being present in the Kshetra. And he also mentions, Lord Krishna also says that we have to separate the Kshetra from the Kshetragya. Or we have to remove and recognize God. We have to remove the physical layers and recognize the spiritual layer. So the material layers have to be removed till the time we reach that God within us. And here again, it is what is implied is that the Kshetragya, which is in the middle of the field, okay, we are surrounded by our body. How to discriminate the Kshetra and the Kshetragya, and how to differentiate the two, and how to separate the two, and then attain the Brahman. That's the only way you can do it. You know, so when you have, let's say, nails with plastic, whatever, nails also, I mean, so metal nails and plastic nails, which are lying on the mixed up on the, in a bowl, and you are supposed to take out the metal from there, okay, from the, or separate the two. What will you do? What's the simplest method to do it? To take out the iron nails from the plastic nails, or plastic?
Probably
Put in a magnet.
Yes, just
Magnet.
absolutely. Just use a magnet, all the metal will come out, right? You have separated. So now the Lord is going to give us, or briefly explain the details, so that we ourselves are able to differentiate between the Kshetra and the Kshetragya. Of course, I mean, he's explaining it to Arjun. We are fortunate to be reading the text. So we must remember, however, that the details can be provided. The separation has to be done by us, because the mixture is within us. So the separation has to be done by us, because spirituality is a single person's journey. It's not a group walk that you go out and, you know, everyone achieves God together. It will not work that way. The guru or the teacher can show us the path, indicate to us, but the seeker has to do the separation by oneself. And that is the process of reflection, meditation, and contemplation. So the Lord will give us the knowledge required to find the Kshetragya in the Kshetra. So, or the knower of the field in the field. Kshetra is the material body in which the Kshetragya functions. Now, Kshetra, because it is gross, it can be described, it can be experienced, it can be comprehended. The Kshetragya, in contrast, is subtle. It's beyond a description and therefore beyond comprehension. But we are aware that the Kshetragya exists. So the method that is deployed is logical, because what is Krishna doing? He's first explaining the Kshetra. So the method is logical. We proceed from what we know, or we can comprehend, we can understand, to the unknown, or from the finite to the infinite. So therefore, firstly, the term Kshetra, or the material body, is explained, and then pointers will be used to indicate the supreme being. And once you know the Kshetra, by negation, that this is also, you'll say that, is this the field? Yes, it's the field. So it is not the Kshetragya, it's not the knower of the field. So by negation, you will start moving inwards towards the Kshetragya, and we will continue to read this, and you'll find it a very, very interesting chapter actually. So with that, let's move on to the last verse for the day, verse number 5. ऋषेभिर्बहुधा गीतम् छन्दोभिर्विविधे पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रपदैश्चैवम् हेतु मद्भवे निश्चते. So the verse translates to, sages have sung about the field and the knower of the field in many ways, in various distinctive hymns, and also in suggestive words indicative of Brahman, full of reason and conclusively. Let's take this up word by word. Rishi bhi. So by rishis or by sages, Bahuda in many ways. Geetam, sung, Chanto bhi. So Chand is a composition, metric composition. Loosely we will translate it to, hymns as of now, but we'll discuss this. Vividhe, vivid, by various. Prithak, distinctive. Brahma Sutra Pade. So these are the Brahma Sutra. Pad is again compositions, or the Pads or the Brahma Sutra. Actually, these refer to the Vedas. Okay, they're called the Brahma Sutra, which directly tell us of talk of Brahman. So these are those verses in the Vedas. Cha and Ev also. Hetu Matbihi is full of mat or logic, reasoning. Vinishyate is without doubt or with certainty, conclusively. So the verse translates to, sages have sung about the field and the knower of the field in many ways, in various distinctive hymns, and also in suggestive words indicative of Brahman, full of reason and conclusively. So let's chant it together. ऋषिभिर्बहुधा गीतम् छन्दोभिर्विविधे पृथक् ब्रह्मसूत्रापदेश्चैव हेतुमद्वैर्विनिश्च्यते. So we have seen, as we have proceeded reading the Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna uses different methods to impart the ultimate knowledge to us. So one is the traditional method by quoting the Vedas and the ancient sages of yore. Then he appeals to our intellect. So he will present before us a certain logic or intelligent conclusions by giving us sound logic and reasoning. But he leaves us to draw our own conclusions and choose a course of action. And at times he supports the weak by making statements like, even those who are bad will come to me. Right? In this particular verse, he is referring to the older scriptures and knowledge imparted by the great sages of ancient India, and the knowledge that they presented in different contexts and in different places. So Lord Krishna is quoting the sources of ancient knowledge, and he's also quoting the books and the sages. So he is also actually being humble. He's underlying his humility by following the Indian tradition, where we refer to the entire generations of preceding masters. See, if you read the Upanishads, any scripture, or even if you go, let's say, we talk of yoga or Ayurveda, normally it is not ascribed to a particular sage or a rishi. The rishi always talks about, refers to himself as we meaning me and all the generations before me, because what I have learned today is because of my teacher. The teacher, he's learned from his teacher, his guru before him. So that entire generation has come about in the form of me. So they refer themselves to as we. And these humble masters, we have the Indian tradition of Guru Purnima to honor and worship these masters, because Not everyone is, has is named actually. So the names of specific sages are not mentioned. This is the Indian tradition. We do not believe in copyrights and patents. I discover the law of gravity and I wanted to go under my name. Arey, bhai, it existed. You just found it and you stumbled upon it and you were able to articulate it. Also, the other important thing is that the gurus actually, they impart knowledge freely and completely. They will not, they, as per the tradition, are not supposed to withhold any information. In fact, it is considered a sin that if you ask, if a seeker goes asking a question and the guru knows but does not illuminate the seeker, it is a sin for the guru. So withholding of knowledge or giving out part thereof is sin for the guru. And Bharat, as I told you, I thought this was a better place to explain. See, Bharat is the name of our country. Bha means light, and Rath means someone who is Ramawa, is engrossed in that or who revels in it. So Bharat means one who is engrossed and revels in that divine light, or a nation which is engaged in the search of knowledge. So this is what the name of the country means, and that is why in the previous verse or some verses back, Krishna had addressed Arjuna as O Bharat, a descendant of the great Bharat race. Okay, now here we are talking of sages. You may recollect that in chapter 4, verse 19, we had read that who is a sage? A sage is a person whose actions are free from desires and expectations, burnt in the fire of knowledge. Those the wise ones call a sage. So a sage is calm and composed. Intellect is sharp and clear, and the mind is can contemplate. So the sage, when he reaches that threshold of his goal, which is to become one with God, he is able to channelize his energies in the right direction and take that leap of faith. So he's able to remove whatever traces of rajas and tamas exist in him or her, and he just becomes pure sattva. Right. And even, let's say, even Gautam Buddha, he just went under the tree, Bodhi tree, and he said that I will be here till the time I attain that Brahman. So everything else just goes out of the way. So these sages, gradually they attain Brahman by transcending the changes and becoming one with that supreme Brahman or the truth. So while they are in the process of doing this, they stop seeing the plurality of name and form. Instead, they see that oneness principle. They see that oneness across the entire creation as the unifying force or the principle. And because they see oneness in the entire creation, they are actually able to realize God because they see God in everything that they behold, which is what the kind of level that we aim to be at. So they become kind of spiritual doctors, these sages, who have found the truth and are capable of inspiring us towards it. Because their vision, the vision of the sages, goes beyond the material layers of the kshetra, and they focus on the kshetragya, the knower of the field. So they are beyond the field and focus on the kshetragya, and through the knower of the field, they move towards the knower of all the fields. Now, the great sages have sung these truths in different places and different contexts. And that is what the verse is bringing out. That when Lord Krishna says that, chando bhi. So, chand refers to the meter in which the Vedic hymns was composed, and chando bhi implies Vedic literature. So, the Lord is saying that I am not the one who is saying this. This is there in the Vedas. I mean, so the sages composed and sang the glories of the Lord in these melodious compositions to inspire other seekers. So that was Chandobi, and Brahma Sutrapade, as I told you, was the portion of the Vedas that talks directly of spirituality. So they are the nucleus, the core of spiritual thought. They're not explanations or commentaries. So Brahma Sutra are the real declarations of the rishis, which take us to that Brahman. So these scriptures are giving us pointers to the reality, and sages have given actually chaste logic and reasoning. So whatever the Pad is saying, it is supported by logical reasoning. They're not commandments. Thou shalt not grieve. They're not random just statements that you follow, whether you believe it in it or not. This is what you should follow. No, they will give you the logic as to why you should do it. So Lord Krishna here says that these ideas are lying scattered in the Vedic literature in different places and in different contexts. The Lord is actually going to consolidate these ideas or compile or collect these ideas, these scattered ideas, and present them before Arjun and, of course, before us, so that we or Arjun at one gaze knows what all constitutes the world of matter, its nature, qualities, and modifications. So, with that, we will conclude today's session.